There we go. Now we're recording. Okay, so Jeff, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Okay, so I thought I would record a conversation with Jeff today. Jeff, I've known for a few years now. He is also awakening initially through the twin flame experience. Would you say that?
Yeah, most definitely.
It definitely catapulted both of us, and that's how we connected and started talking. And now I've stayed in touch with Jeff, and he's also really knowledgeable and very much into, I guess, what you could call prepping, what I talked about on my previous video. So, yeah, how's it been going, Jeff?
It's been going good. Just dealing with the craziness of today,
I know.
as
I
in
don't know.
general.
Yes,
Society in itself seems to be unusual.
it's very unusual. And we usually like to have catch ups and chat, and you're in the know a lot, hey? Like you're on a lot of online things and researching and sort of have a grid of connection with a bunch of other people on this path.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Well, because I tattoo for a living, I tend to meet a lot of different people as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I tend to, I mean, people from all walks of life, and some people in the know, some people not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that works both ways. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I've connected with through my work that I now speak with on probably weekly, if not every other week basis,
Mm.
in reference to things that are happening. Um,
Yeah.
because I'm in the United States, it's in reference to government. So I've tattooed people in Department of Defense, Pentagon, etc. So
Wow. So I
I
always come
tend,
to you to be like, what is going on, Jeff?
well, I'm tattooing them. You have a conversation, and that conversation ensues for maybe a couple hours, and then it just happens. Like, hey, do you know about this? Do you know about that? No.
Seems to be the way, like we're guided to the right information that we're supposed to be guided to, and we're guided to pass it along to those who we are supposed to pass it along to. So I think that's why I want to bring you on my channel, even just for this little group, initially for just twin flame stuff, but just to get some insight of the feelings of where we're at right now on the planet. I know you also get a lot of downloads and information coming to you, as well as, actual tangible information of what's going on. What are your vibes of what you're feeling the planet is going through right now?
Well, without a doubt, many, many changes. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we all kind of feel that the energetics within that. So sometimes it's kind of mixed. So because a lot of people feel like they don't know exactly what's happening. We see what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, we hear what's happening, but it doesn't kind of click sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
So,
confusion.
right. So you can feel that, like, in my opinion, you can feel those energetics, and you can feel like what the collective feels. So you'll have moments of like confusion yourself. You'll have moments where you're pissed off so, at
Mm-hmm.
things
Yeah.
that are happening. You have moments where you just
Disillusioned.
exactly where you're just like, damn, I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And then there's other times when you're just like get all revved up about a certain situation or a certain element that's happening within the situation, and you focus
Hmm.
on that. And sometimes you just want to be left alone and be a hermit.
Oh, yeah. We
So,
both talk about that. We've both become hermits a lot more in the past few years.
but I've also found a lot of people are going more inward lately.
That's what I
So,
feel.
so like basically, okay, I'll speak from my experience, and although I generalize that, you know what I'm saying, in
Hmm.
relevance because I get downloads, but I feel like I'm trying to cleanse everything with myself.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I'm single, so I don't like clutter. So I will literally get a dumpster and throw everything in it, like
Wow.
everything in my house. So, and what I mean by that is like if there's a box in the attic or something of that nature, and I haven't opened it in 3 years, I don't know what's in it. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to throw it away.
Wow.
Because the
Just letting go
relevance
of attachments.
correct. Now think about that in a spiritual element. That's what I'm referencing.
That's
So
very interesting because I myself, I'm very sentimental. I like to hold on to a lot, and I moved in February just a couple months ago, did a huge purge, and now I'm actually moving again, sort of unexpectedly, but we found a better place, so to speak. So now it's like I feel that same feeling like, okay, I need to go through again and just get rid of shit, and I just feel a lot less of that material element, I guess you would say, of holding on to these things or wanting things the same way I used to.
exactly. Now I've changed that through time in relevance to my own life as far as how I work. So
Hmm.
I used to work because I thought I had to work to live,
Yes,
and that's
survival
not
mode.
correct. And typical man response, honestly, I have to work, I have to provide, I have to do this, I have to do, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but now over the last couple of years, I've been more leaning towards living to work, as in I want to enjoy work like I enjoy living.
Yes.
So and I do that because I have a very creative job, so it's awesome. So I can actually change that. But as far as time wise and being more selective with my time and my projects and things that I like to do, that's more what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
So I can mix those and intertwine those elements to work better for me energetically.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of people I know that are on this path have been manifesting a reality where exactly if they do work, it's not your typical 9 to 5 job. I don't really know anyone who's really gone deep into their awakening process and work like as an accountant or something, you know what I mean? And most people, they do have a creative sort of a career like you do.
Yes,
Like you're an artist.
I have a couple friends. I mean, even like, doing hair and things like that. And
Yeah,
you know
like
what I
I'm a
mean?
makeup artist, and
Well,
that for
yeah,
me,
exactly. That's the creative process again.
yeah, it allowed a certain amount of freedom, and now it's like I've reached a new plateau in my world, and I'm just here like, what do you want me to bring in next, universe? And I'm just open to the guidance right now because now I'm even sort of being drawn away from even the makeup artistry, but it's a little bit to do with that sort of hermit mode going inwards that we were also talking about. So
And
I'm like
let's touch
open right
back
now.
on let's touch back on the purging reference too.
Yes, yeah.
It you get rid of in order to gain,
Hmm.
and you give in order to get. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's that yin and yang element that it all encompasses everything if you think about it.
Yeah, it's looking for this balance. And I'm getting that message a lot. Like when I'm getting downloads and things, it's like, Talysia, you're not meant to work an actual job right now. You're meant to do work for the collective, for the healing of the collective, of the planet, Mother Earth. And part of that work is to clear my energy. And so I
Yes.
could see how that purging, it even goes hand in hand with that. Like I've said on my channel a few times about doing ayahuasca. And for me, that was like my energetic giant purge, cleaning house within. And that's what they just keep telling me, like, just keep clearing your energy, keep staying open, keep bringing through
Hmm.
the light.
Yeah, I mean, I really felt this time around like it just felt different to me. It wasn't like I pulled the dumpster up and threw everything I owned in it. It was more like almost like when you're going inward to clear things and you're
Hmm.
you're clearing specific things, childhood traumas, things of that nature, etc. I'm not clearing out everything. I'm clearing certain items and certain elements within to make room for others.
That's
And
so good.
and other specific elements. So it's not like I'm clearing out everything, but I want
Mm-hmm.
like wide open space in my place. so,
Aw.
so I got, for instance, I had a 4x8 beautiful oak table, with a bench and everything for dinner, and it was pushed into the corner, and there was paintings and art stacked all over top of it. So,
That
but for
sounds
me,
fun.
yeah, well, that's the fun part. But for me, I was going, why is this in my way? It's just in my way. It's in my way. It's in my way. So I got rid of the table and the chairs, everything. Now I have this big, huge open area that goes from my kitchen out onto my deck. So it's like just open plan, and it just feels so
Mm.
much more open to me.
Oh, that's so nice. Are
So
you using that area in any way? Like, or is it just that you want the space clear to just
I
have
just
that
wanted
open
it
feeling?
cleared so I can walk. Like I have a back door that goes onto the deck, then I have a sliding glass door that goes onto the other part of the deck. So I like to walk through them,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
all like around. Just again, it's just open air.
Yeah.
And my
That
porch
open.
wraps around the house, so I can walk around
Everything
the
is
house.
energy, right? And everything holds energy. And I remember my ex-husband, he was like a major hoarder, and I can't tell you how much it affected me. It was probably a large contributing factor to, our
Do
marriage ending us to a certain degree. And I would feel like my home was coming in on me, and my bedroom, he had so much stuff in there. And I
yes.
remember when we separated and when we finally moved apart, I was just like, oh, like the energy difference of how I felt just in a room with, yeah, like a bed, a dresser, two side tables, like just simplicity was just like, oh,
Well,
so amazing.
do you remember a few years ago where we started saying along the same references what we're speaking of now, where when you hold old items like from a marriage or from a relationship or pictures or certain elements within them, those energetics are kept within those.
Mm.
And I burned mine on the grill, just burnt them up in a burn can, like type.
Do you know
Like,
what's funny for me is like I said, very sentimental. I hold on to everything. I didn't have much space, closet space in the last place that I lived, and I lived there for like 6 years or something. But when I was first moving there, I gave my boxes of like all the photos of my ex-husband and I, like high school yearbooks, like all these sort of photo albums and things like that. I gave them to my mom. And it's like a whole long story, but let's just say that those are all gone. And I had no real control over it. It was just they're gone. They're probably in a garbage somewhere. And
well, that's because they were supposed to be. No offense. I mean,
right? No, it's
in
true.
relevance.
Yeah, so it's interesting you're saying that because I remember being pretty upset in a way, like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that, and I should have gotten them. And it's like I thought, oh, my son would want those. Like, my son doesn't care. He doesn't care to look at our old like wedding photos and stuff. And there's still a couple kicking around if he needs to see, you know what I mean? So
I just
that's
found
really
one.
interesting.
I just found one of my ex-wife and my first daughter together, and like little pictures like that. And of course, I gave them to my daughters. So
Yeah, and
I was
that's
like, I
fine.
don't particularly need them, but
Exactly. Like my son won't be bringing these around with him when he moves out when he's older. He could care less, especially as
yeah,
a male.
exactly.
A girl might care a little bit more, like, oh, mom and dad.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I'm not trying to like hold on to those energies either. That's why I think I cleared that as well. So
Yeah.
I did that.
And even
That.
back with the whole twin flame thing, it's like that is that sort of energy, even within the whole twin flame element. It's like just that surrender, that letting go, releasing and keeping an openness, holding like a
Hmm.
gratitude for anything that's happened in our lives or any connection, but really
See,
releasing them.
I just explained that to again a client of mine, since we were sitting for a long time,
Yeah,
and
you do like your spiritual healing through like your clients that sit in your chair for hours.
yeah, but
It's amazing.
I also find that sometimes they come there for me, and
Yeah,
sometimes they come there for them. So even
yeah.
by me explaining things is when I realize things myself.
an exchange.
in a very poignant way. So
No.
it's like, oh wow, I never thought about it that way, or I changed my
Wow.
opinion or view on something. But I just the other day referenced that very thing.
Really.
So, and it was kind of unusual. So I'm sitting there telling my client about stuff and realizing things with myself, and we're in
Yeah.
that conversation about like what we just said, the gratitude towards things. Because I was telling him my story in reference to how, okay, how I say source energy, or someone would say God or something, ask me that question, do you want to see something and I'll show it to you, and then but you can't keep it. So but I was telling him, I said
Yes.
I would never change that, and I would never ever change the decision that I made, because it was one of the best things I've ever experienced, at the same time being one of the worst. So,
Same. Yeah,
but that's when
same.
you learn the most shit, honestly.
Yes.
That's the
I
best
couldn't
part.
have learned. I've always said that, for me, you know, within the twin flame element, it's like I was always one foot out the door, like I had a difficult childhood growing up, and I think my heart was just truly blocked. I didn't fully trust anyone. And even once I had my son, it put me through hell in a way, because I was like, oh, I love this little being too much. It's freaking me out. And in a way, that for me was sort of like postpartum depression or something. And it's true, when I met my twin flame, it shook my world so much, because it's like I lost that sense of control over my blockage.
Oh yeah, I mean, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, and it's true. It's the best thing, but also the worst thing. Like, it was so blissful and just opened my heart right up, but then constantly breaking me down too, but in a way that my soul needed. It was the ultimate lessons. And I always say that on my channel. I always tell everyone to try to be so grateful for that experience, because I think a lot of twin flames, or those who've gone through the experience, are just very bitter from what I see, and in comments on videos and stuff like that. Just people are angry and like, oh, my twin flame is a narcissist and they don't talk to me anymore because of this and that.
Because
Like,
they haven't gone. Okay, so I say this when I explain what happened to me as well.
hmm
I used to go, man, I hate you for this, and you do this, and you don't like this, and the way that you parent, and this and this. And I kept looking at her, and I kept going, my twin, that is, and
hmm
saying, this is the problem with you, and pointing that finger, when in actuality, everything I was pointing that finger at was myself.
yes, the
So,
reflection.
and that is where ego comes into play, and you have to understand that ego is your ultimate survival instinct, because it will come out so you don't have to deal with shit.
Yes.
So, and what people who act like that and make comments like that, they're not understanding where that reflection is going. It's going out when it should be going in.
Yes, and whatever you put out to the universe, that's what also reflects back at you to create your reality. And I spent years in a place of, yeah, that sort of, I don't know, longing, sadness, bitterness, feeling incomplete. Oh, it was terrible, but I needed, it's like I say, it's like a hamster running on the wheel. It's like I just kept running and running and running until I finally saw what I was doing. And that is part of the awakening
Correct. That's part of that process that
process. Yeah.
that we have to go through in order to, when they say dig deep, like, there will come a point to where you have to reflect upon the mirror, which is you. If,
hmm
if you don't, you will not grow with that. You
Yeah.
you will not be able to look at yourself and say, I'm fucked up.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? And that's the hardest thing ever, is to go,
It's so
man,
hard.
like, you're just not right in the head. Like, you got to
That
fix
is
that.
literally what I got to. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness. And the
Exactly. I
funniest
mean,
thing for me, and my story, it's like it felt like I felt fucked up, and I was sitting in that soup of being effed up, and I did end up attracting a relationship, but all it did was reflect more shit back to me because I still really wasn't ready. And I do want to talk about this because I know with you, you're focused on basically staying single until you feel ready in a way. And I think I made that mistake at one point where I kind of forced a relationship just out of longing, need, whatever. I was trying to fulfill some stuff within myself,
Well,
maybe trying to even forget about my twin flame. And that just also reflected shit back at me.
well, see, that's the thing is like, it's almost like if you don't go through the process or allow the process to go through you, then you'll revert back to, I'm not saying back to the beginning, but you'll start reverting back to the things that you haven't cleared and you haven't done yet.
Yeah.
So within the self work, that is. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I
So,
will say, I won't say it was fully maybe a bad thing. Maybe that's what my soul needed to just, again, be the
oh
hamster
no,
running on
that's
the wheel.
well,
Like,
that's well, the
hello,
secondary,
Talysia.
yeah, exactly. The secondary relationship was to sit there and go, you ain't ready yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna show you that, but you okay? You want to force this shit? No problem, but I'll show you, basically. And
Exactly.
then you had okay, shit. I need a little more work right there, don't I? Yep.
Oh, it was like I got to this major turning point where I just really, yeah, faced my shit, faced where I was messed up, and I really finally took ownership. I think I spent so many years, like those people in the comments, just blaming my twin flame and oh, he's a runner and oh, he's this and he's got issues and oh, maybe I can save him. And then I finally took a look in the mirror and was like, no, you were just as much to blame, and you were doing this, doing that, all these unhealthy patterns and whatever childhood traumas. I truly believe now through doing some quantum healing hypnosis sessions where you go into past lives, like I'm
Hmm.
carrying shit from my past lives into the now. And it's
Well, I
like,
mean, you have a native stance on that as well. That's very deep.
yeah, oh my
So
goodness. When I
there's
did ayahuasca, the pain of my native lineage, ooh, that
yes.
was heavy. And I was clearing that. It was so hard, but I cleared and cleared and cleared and faced my own shit and faced, my family, my lineage, like my past lives. It was so deep, the amount of things that you have to face. And sometimes I would just cry and cry or lay in bed all day because I just had zero energy to deal with the world. I just had to, and it's like the universe always orchestrated the time for me to have that minute to just, okay, no, I'm not working right now. I need to go inwards.
See, that's where I like going to. Again, that's where I guess the hermit mode comes in. I like going before. I think I would probably be more apprehensive about trying to understand that and go into that to where I almost view it like a meditation at this point, where
Mm,
you need to go deeper, and the deeper you go, the better it is. So
100%.
even
And you
even
need
though
that alone time. You need that hermit time to
right,
really delve right in.
and the energetics in itself of a relationship. So most of us carry, as we know, we both carry the divine masculine and feminine, but obviously one is greater than the other. So when you're trying to go inward and realize your divine masculine or feminine energy and to clear that and fix that with childhood traumas, with things that have happened in past lives, etc., you have to understand a relationship is another form of energetics that will trip you up. And what I mean by that,
Mm,
if you're not ready for that and
yes.
you're not able to deal with your own within the energetics, whatever your energetics are, then you can't deal with someone else's. Just like they say with
No.
baggage, you got to clear your baggage. I'm bringing this to the airport. You're bringing that shit to the airport. And what's going to happen?
And
We got too much baggage to
exactly.
carry.
Yes, and it gets heavy and you feel the load. And that's what
Yes.
I found was until I really delved in and cleared out my shit and cleared out all these multiple layers, I couldn't attract a vibration that would be a healthy, open-hearted, open-minded, everything. I couldn't attract that vibration until I got into that vibration because, as we know, what you put out, the universe reflects that right back to you. So finally, once I did do all that work, I was finally able to attract a partner that met me where I was at that point. And at that point, I had done the work and I could attract a healthier, like very healthy relationship. It trips me out sometimes that I'm
Hey,
here now.
listen to what I'm going to say. A healthier you.
That's it. That's
So
it.
there's see, what we often don't do is listen to those keywords that we ourselves speak,
Hmm.
because that's the biggest reflection upon ourselves. How do you talk? Because, even in little things like that, we can get a play on the words with other elements too.
Oh, yeah.
As far as bad or good, as far as government and everything else, but I won't go into that conversation. But
We'll save that for another day.
yeah, that's another conversation in
Yeah.
itself. But it's
Yeah,
a
it
word,
is.
it's a play on words. So, people say things, but you have to understand how they're being said at the same time. And what that's putting out energy is those words. So,
Yes.
so even what we say to ourselves or how we think in a given situation will construct what's coming back to us.
100%. And I did find, okay, when I look back at sort of the trajectory that everything went on, it's funny that they do say, 2012, 2013. And for me, that really was when I started waking up. And I think at the time, like The Secret had come out and everyone was all about The Secret, and I was like, I remember, I think I watched the movie about it and I was like, okay, like it was at least just planting the initial seeds about manifestation. And as my path went on and on, I was so into all the twin flame stuff and delving into all that. And at a certain point, my path really became about the manifestation element. And it's like I'm still trying to understand the power that we have.
It's
It's insane.
unbelievable.
I know.
And the reason I say that, we've often talked sometimes how I sit there and say, and I just call it the power, like I feel powerful. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
I don't have an expression to explain what I'm referencing, bar that, I feel very powerful. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, we
and to
are
me,
in power of
every human being is
ourselves.
that way. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah,
Because in reality, what is reality? It's your reality is what you make it. In other
it
words,
is.
if I want to take a right, I'll take a right. If I want to take a left, I'll take a left. No one will stop me from either.
Exactly. And it's to the degree of, I mean, I think when I first learned about The Secret, it's like, okay, if I just say this or write down this vision board stuff or whatever, but it's like the more I've gone into it, it's like, no, it's like, do you really truly hold the belief inside? And I'd like to add that my son and I just finished watching the Kanye West. It's like a three-part docu-series or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny. Kanye West, like the guy's, I just am intrigued by him. I'm like, what is up with this guy? But when I watched it, and it's like I really did see that element of how much he empowers himself, how much his mother, like no wonder he really cherishes her. Like she was so empowering. Her words were so positive and it was like, you're the best. You can do this. Like, but not just in a cheesy way, like truly she was honest with him and everything like that. And I
It
remember
was it
he
was
was,
a matter of fact.
yeah, and it was like, no, like she had this belief, like she felt it in every ounce of her being, and they created his life. And he is like, he's very influential, he's whatever, he's manifesting like crazy. But there was one part where he said, people think I'm arrogant because I think I'm a god and all this and that. He's like I think I'm a god, but you should think you're a god too. We are all God. And I'm like, yes.
We are made in his likeness, correct?
Right? So we're all pieces of God, and we are that. We are everything that is, and we can create this expression through this sort of human experience in this matrix. So what are we going to do with that? And I don't think we've fully learned how to harness our full capabilities. But I think there's some people out there and they are better skilled at it than others.
Yes.
And on another layer, I do think that there are darker entities and dark beings. And unfortunately, the way this planet has been run for a long time, they've been the ones probably more privy to this information.
Right. And thus the information has been kept from us in reference to everything.
Yes.
In reference to everything you just stated, basically. So they don't want you to know how powerful you actually are.
Yes.
And because, one, it scares the shit out of them. Two, they can't control it. And control is the name of the game.
100%.
So,
and I think that's when we come into all the current state of what's going on the planet.
Exactly. The reflection upon that is kind of obvious at this point.
It is.
So if you haven't woken up to that, you will in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Within the next year or so, by 2023, I mean, even possibly in the next few weeks, you'll probably understand that.
Yeah.
Just with
I
global
think
events
most
and what
have,
have
and
you.
especially through COVID and all this stuff, I do feel like most people on this path, they get it now, and they get the lies and deception and just.
COVID wasn't bad for me at all. I understand and can reflect on some and how it has affected some,
Mm-hmm.
you know, very much so. But for me, it was a time for me to gain even more power and reflect and to clear things and to get on a path that I'm currently on, that it's done nothing but enlightened me and made me stronger.
Exactly. I had a friend that literally was like kind of arguing with me. Like she thought I was in denial because I was saying like, no, what, like I'm not depressed because of, when we were in lockdowns. It was like felt like such a gift because what we were just
Yeah.
talking about, when are you given that time in life to just really take a break from everything, fully go inwards? I never felt so good.
Exactly. that whole point of that to me was showing me how everybody should be living. And what I'm referencing with that,
Exactly.
the reference is that the most poignant is I can be at leisure and go from here to there, outside, drive down the road, no traffic, this and that, because everybody was quote unquote locked down in their houses. Not me. I just did what I wanted.
Yeah, same.
That's just me. So I just
Yeah,
was
I
driving
wasn't.
around going, this is beautiful. Like, there's nobody here. Like, this is amazing. I can go
Oh, it
to
was
the
so
store. I don't have to worry about it.
wonderful.
Exactly. I just kind of was just.
Traffic, I hate traffic. I just moved to a small town because I'm so over city traffic. And yeah, I was just like, I've never had such low anxiety. I had great quality of sleep. I was with my pet and my son all the time. I met my partner, during the tail end of the lockdown. I
Mhm.
was doing spiritual courses. I was reading. I was
Exactly.
meditating. I was like learning, growing. It was just, for me, so beautiful.
But I
So, so
think that was
beautiful.
also a preparation period.
Yes.
So another way to reflect and go into preparing for what's coming and what's going to happen, allowing us to relax before we get stressed out. Basically.
Oh, gosh.
So,
So when
I
it
mean that.
comes to all of that, and now that could bring us into our sort of prepping elements of the
Yes.
conversation. I know that you and I
And that's
talk a
why I
lot
so
about that.
directed it like that.
Perfect. I love it. Good lead in there.